One day, your kindness will stop being a gift and become a convenient button that anyone who needs something from you will press. And the scariest thing about this moment is that you might not even notice it. At first, it seems completely innocent. Someone asks for a small favor. Someone quietly shifts some of their worries onto your shoulders. Someone exploits your time and attention, hiding behind one convenient phrase, "You're a good person," and out of habit, you agree. It's much easier than explaining or refusing. But with each new concession, your boundaries fray, like fabric at a fold. And with them, that very feeling of inner freedom that was once rightfully yours silently disappears. Stoicism teaches that gentleness is true strength, but only when it's securely protected. Without protection, it's not gentleness, but vulnerability, a wide open door. True kindness is never about pleasing everyone. It's about maintaining your own dignity, even when it requires extraordinary firmness. And here lies a surprising, almost an obvious paradox. The stronger your boundaries, the purer your intentions and the more honest your relationships with others become. Because those who truly respect you will never even test how far they can go. And those who do try will quickly realize their attempts are doomed to failure. If the story you just heard resonated with you, it's time to subscribe to the channel right now. Coming soon are 8 more rules that can literally change the way others treat you. Don't miss a single one. In this article, we'll explore 8 tough but necessary rules that will allow a gentle person to once and for all stop being a convenient resource for others' games. They won't make you cold or hardened, but they will help you preserve that inner warmth that makes you who you are, while preventing anyone from exploiting it for selfish purposes. Rule number 1. Don't answer right away, answer after a pause. In a world where we're expected to react instantly, whether in conversation, in text messages, or when making serious decisions, the ability to pause becomes a true form of control over one's own life. People accustomed to your compliance often openly exploit your haste to agree, knowing full well your tendency to respond without having time to really think. It seems like a small thing, but it's precisely from these instant yes that a long chain of obligations imperceptibly builds, which over time becomes an unbearable burden. The Stoics saw the pause not as a void, but as a space where true freedom is born. Between what's said to you and how you respond, there's always a tiny moment that belongs to you alone. And the more often you learn to dwell in this moment, the less likely someone is to turn you into a toy. In this brief silence, you have time to hear not only the words themselves, but also the tone hidden within them, not only the request, but its true motive, not only what they want to take from you, but also how it will change your entire future life. A pause isn't a sign of indifference or an attempt to pretend you didn't hear. It's a gesture of maturity and deep self-respect. It's a moment of honest internal examination. Are you truly ready to do what's being asked of you, and will it not violate your personal boundaries? Sometimes, after such an examination, your answer will still be yes, but it will be an honest and firm yes. And sometimes it will be no, and this won't be cruel, but an act of protecting your own integrity. It's important to understand, hasty consent is most often born out of fear, the fear of appearing cold, ungrateful, or not quite right. But fear is a terrible advisor when it comes to your time, your energy, and your dignity. Stoicism teaches, it's far better to lose the favor of someone who will be offended by your brief pause than to lose yourself to someone else's expectations. By learning to pause between request and response, you regain your most important right, the right to choose. And this is precisely the foundation of true inner freedom. Living not by automatic reactions, but by your own decisions, made without pressure or outside manipulation. Rule number 2. Always have your no ready. A gentle person often perceives no as something truly dangerous, a word capable of ruining relationships, causing offense, or pushing people away. Therefore, they instinctively reach for agreement, even when everything inside them desperately protests. But this is precisely where their greatest vulnerability lies. Those who have never learned to say no inevitably become an inexhaustible source of other people's requests, obligations, and whims. And the more you agree, the less space you have for yourself in your own life. Stoicism teaches that no isn't aggression, but a form of self-care. This word doesn't destroy truly genuine relationships, but rather cleanses them of false, contrived expectations. If someone communicates with you only because you're always available and always ready to help, your no will be the moment of truth that reveals how valuable you truly are. Genuine relationships can withstand rejection. Those that rely solely on your willingness to constantly adapt are worth leaving. Knowing how to keep your no ready is knowing how to not give more than you're willing to give. It's the ability to carefully conserve your own resources, clearly understanding that your time, your energy, and your attention are not infinite. When you refuse, you're not saying, "You're unimportant to me." You're saying, "Right now, I choose to preserve myself." And there's not a shred of selfishness in this, it's maturity, without which kindness inevitably degenerates into hidden slavery. It's important to remember, no can sound gentle, but it still remains firm at its core. You have the right to explain why you can't help, without endless excuses and apologies. After all, your life isn't an eternal reserve for other people's affairs. A Stoic won't spend much time justifying themselves, because they understand perfectly well that excessive explanations only open up additional space for pressure and persuasion. A short, confident no isn't a dead end, but a subtle filter through which only those requests truly worthy of your consent pass. Rule 3. Don't over-explain. A gentle person often feels that their no, or any neutral decision, for that matter, needs a detailed justification. They begin listing reasons, making excuses, and trying to persuade their interlocutor to understand their position. But this excessive openness conceals a serious weakness. The more details you reveal, the more room you create for pressure, persuasion, and even outright manipulation. A manipulator is always looking for a catch, a word that can be turned on its head, a circumstance that can be easily questioned, an emotion that can be easily exploited. The Stoics understood the power of brevity and clarity. They knew that truth never requires long, convoluted justifications. When making a decision, you have every right to state it without a single unnecessary detail. A short and confident "it's impossible right now," or "I've decided so," often defends your boundaries far more reliably than a stream of arguments that only weaken your own position. This doesn't mean being harsh or rude. The point is that your words should be sharp and precise, like the edge of a sword, not blurry, like water in a river after rain. A gentle person often fears that brevity will be perceived as coldness, but in reality, it's perceived as self-confidence. Those who truly respect you will accept your decision without further questioning. Those who immediately start arguing or finding weaknesses in your answer will only demonstrate that they are far more interested in pushing their point than in respecting yours. By limiting the number of explanations you give, you maintain complete control over the situation and stop playing by someone else's rules, where you are repeatedly drawn into endless discussions and emotional manipulation. Rule 4. Read other people's intentions, not their words. A gentle person often takes what's said at face value, especially if it sounds beautiful or is couched in a friendly tone. We're accustomed to believing words because we ourselves are uncomfortable even considering the possibility that they might conceal a completely different meaning. But someone who truly wants to use you rarely acts overtly. Manipulation rarely begins with a direct order, far more often with a gentle hint, not a harsh command, but with a carefully crafted request, preconceived with the expectation of your consent. The Stoics always looked deeper than words, right to their source. They asked themselves honest questions. What does this person really want? How will their situation change if I agree? What exactly will they lose if I refuse? After all, the innocent guise of "I need your help" can conceal a blatant desire to shift someone else's responsibility onto you. And the phrase "it's not that difficult" can conceal an attempt to devalue the true value of your time. To learn to discern true intentions, you need to develop observation skills, noticing not only the words themselves, but also how they're spoken. Intonation, pauses, the order in which arguments are presented. How someone behaves after hearing a refusal is especially telling. It's the best indicator of their true motives. An honest request will calmly accept your no. Manipulative approaches, however, will pressure, persuade, and guilt-trip. A Stoic isn't offended by attempts to exploit them. They understand perfectly well that this is part of human nature, but they never allow these attempts to succeed. They evaluate not how polite the words sound, but where they ultimately lead. After all, true respect is built not on the tone of speech, but on the honesty of the intentions behind it. Rule number 5. Don't confuse empathy with obligation. For a gentle person, another's pain too often becomes a direct signal for immediate action. They see someone suffering and rush to help, even if no one has directly asked them to. They believe that empathy itself obligates them to sacrifice. If they've sensed someone else's grief or weariness, they're obligated to shoulder part of the burden. But it's precisely in this confusion that the real danger lies, for empathy and obligation are two completely different things. The Stoics valued compassion highly, but understood perfectly well that it must remain free, not extracted by force or pressure. Other people's emotions can be completely sincere, or they can be a subtle instrument, especially in the hands of those who have already discerned your weakness for help. Not everyone who shares their misfortune with you is truly seeking only support. Sometimes they are looking for someone to fulfill their own responsibilities. It's important to learn to separate a sincere, inner desire to support from external pressure, to do someone else's job or save someone from the consequences of their own decisions. You can be there, you can listen and empathize, but that doesn't mean you're obligated to act in the other person's favor. Otherwise, your empathy will quietly turn into a tool to be used again and again until you're exhausted. The Stoic clearly sees the difference between being human and being someone else's resource. He knows that help given without sincere inner consent doesn't purify the soul, but simply burns it to the ground. And he also understands that sometimes the best form of support isn't catching someone who's falling, but allowing them to find their own footing. Compassion, preserved in its purity, strengthens both you and the one you empathize with. Compassion, forcibly transformed into an obligation, destroys both. By the way, if you've read or listened this far, it means this topic is truly important to you, and I want you to keep up with the remaining 3 rules, the most practical of the 8. Subscribe to the channel now to make sure they make it into your feed and don't get lost somewhere between videos. Rule number 6. Limit access to yourself. A gentle person often lives as if their inner home is always wide open. Come in, ask whatever you want, take as much time and attention as you need. But in a world where many are more willing to exploit others than their own, such openness becomes not a virtue but a direct invitation to exploitation. Stoicism teaches, not everyone should have access to you, and certainly not at any time of the day or night. The more people know about your weaknesses, your fears, worries, and inner doubts, the easier it is for them to push your buttons. Openness is a wonderful quality in itself, but it requires a precise recipient and reasonable limits. Not everything you experience internally should be shared with others. Sometimes silence isn't secrecy at all, but a true form of protection. A Stoic mentally divides people into those who strengthen them and those who drain them. You can open up to the former, but even with them, you should carefully remember your personal boundaries. The latter simply shouldn't be given the keys to your inner door. This isn't cruelty. It's a wise conservation of strength for those who truly value your presence in their lives. Restricting access isn't a retreat into complete isolation, but a subtle filter that allows in only those whose presence doesn't destroy you. You don't have to be available always and everywhere. You don't have to respond immediately. You don't have to share every detail of your life just because someone asked. The fewer random people you let into the workings of your inner world, the harder it will be to control it from the outside. Rule 7. Distinguish between a request and an order. To a gentle person, a request and an order often sound almost identical, especially if both are spoken in a calm tone and wrapped in emphatic politeness. But the difference between them is fundamental. A request always leaves you free to choose, while an order presupposes that the choice has already been made for you, and all you have to do is silently obey. A manipulator rarely gives a direct order. They carefully disguise it in a form that appears outwardly friendly, but which already contains hidden pressure, guilt, or a clear hint of some obligation. A Stoic can hear not only the words themselves, but also the hidden message behind them. They ask themselves an honest question. What will happen if I say no? If the response is irritation, resentment, or an overt attempt to pressure, then it was an order skillfully disguised as a request. If the person calmly accepts their refusal, then it was truly a request, never intended to deprive them of their freedom of choice. Gentle people often agree almost automatically, afraid of appearing impolite or provocative, but this is precisely what makes them such an easy target. Stoicism teaches that politeness does not necessarily mean submissiveness. You can remain respectful while firmly defending your right not to obey someone else's hidden orders. It's important to develop the skill of internally recognizing when something is truly offered and when it's being openly demanded, even in the most gentle form. And the sooner you learn to notice this, the easier it will be to stop anyone else from trying to control your actions. Rule number 8. Remember, your resources are finite. Gentle people often live as if their time, energy, and attention are inexhaustible resources from which they can draw endlessly. They devote their mornings to other people's activities, their evenings to other people's conversations, and their own inner energy to other people's emotions. But the truth is, your resources are not limitless. Every minute wasted thoughtlessly is a minute you'll never get back. A minute you could have devoted to what's truly important to you. Stoicism teaches us to view ourselves not as a mechanism that can never be repaired, but as a living organism that requires restoration, rest, and genuine care. Giving yourself beyond measure doesn't make you kinder or more valuable in the eyes of others. You only become more tired and far less capable of providing genuine help when it's truly needed. It's important to understand. People accustomed to your endless availability rarely consider the price you pay for this availability. They don't see your fatigue because you skillfully hide it. They don't hear your, "I need time for myself," because you never say it out loud. But this is where the fine but clear line lies between self-respect and self-sacrifice, which ultimately only devalues you in the eyes of others. A Stoic measures their own resources as carefully and soberly as a merchant counts their wares or a captain counts the supplies in a ship's hold. They firmly know that not every task deserves their time, and not every person deserves constant access to their energy. When you begin to truly value your resources, you stop wasting them on trivialities and conserve them for what truly fills you with meaning. Remember, those who conserve their own energy are capable of living life deeply and fully. Those who give them away without reserve sooner or later risk finding only emptiness within themselves. Conclusion: gentleness itself is a great strength, but only when it is protected by clear and strong boundaries. Without them, it quickly becomes an open door for those accustomed to only entering and taking, never leaving anything in return. Stoicism teaches us that inner warmth and genuine kindness can only be preserved when we know how to refuse at the right time, maintain wise silence, limit access to ourselves, discern the true intentions of others, and carefully guard our own resources. These 8 rules aren't a way to harden your heart, but rather a way to prevent the world from burning out everything that makes you truly alive. They're not about isolation, but about conscious choice. Not about indifference, but about being honest, first and foremost, with yourself. Not about coldness, but about that very inner strength that allows you to continue to be kind, but without the risk of being used. The world will always test your boundaries. There will always be those who try to take more than you're truly willing to give. But every time you pause, say an honest no, reserve the right to remain silent, look at the essence and not the pretty form, you remind yourself of the most fundamental truth. Your life is yours alone, and only you can decide to whom and how much you're willing to give. A gentle person, armed with these strict rules, ceases to be easily manipulated. And it is at this moment that they gain not only the sincere respect of others, but also a deep, unshakable respect for themselves. And this is the foundation upon which a life free from exploitation and filled with genuine inner dignity is built. If any of these 8 rules resonated with you today, let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely interested to hear about it. And if you want to further explore Stoicism and learn how to set boundaries without guilt, subscribe to the channel. There are many more such insights worth checking out.